Are you ready for the biggest Essen haul you've ever seen? Now check this. Oh, that didn't. I didn't go to Essen. But before you click away, I'm going to show you some beautiful board games, I swear. Like this, and this, and this, and this, and this. And now that's my whole... That's it. Those are the ones that I stole off of Facebook. The pictures that I stole off of Facebook. And I've seen this a lot, both in Facebook groups and on major YouTube channels. Whenever there is a large convention that happens, there's also this idea of showing off your goods and showing off your haul. So actually, in our Discord, one of these images got brought up and they said, oh, we saw this image. This person bought 78 games. And so naturally, as the only one on the internet who tells you to stop having fun, I decided to do a table talk about it. This is a table talk episode. Surprise, you're going to have to comment down below, and then we will follow up with your responses in a follow-up video, a table talk back video, because I am personally very curious as to where you stand on this issue. I feel like a lot of board gamers are collectors. We love to collect. We have our walls of board games usually consistently behind us, and there is that mentality, especially if you tend to consume content on YouTube, which I consume a lot of, and hey, welcome, we're on YouTube. There's always that mentality of continuing to acquire more. It comes with the nature of the beast. If you're watching a board game channel, they will often be reviewing the latest titles, and you're reviewing the latest titles because that's what people want to know about. They want to know and be informed about their purchase, and that makes sense. And so naturally, a lot of YouTube channels also end up getting a lot of titles at conventions. This is their opportunity to go and get their review titles and have all the companies save on shipping, which is great. It is very good getting them all in one spot and then just bringing them back. Although you sometimes have to pay for shipping if you're not driving and you're flying and then you're bringing back 5 suitcases and when you only arrived with 1. But of course, that doesn't need to factor into the decision. Of course, no. That is what we see, right? These are the things that are exciting. It's exciting to get a new game. It is. It's exciting to get 2 games. It's exciting to get 3 games. It's exciting to get 78 to 100 games. Yes, it absolutely is. If you're interested in the hobby, there is a degree of wild excitement to these sorts of videos, and that's why I watch them, I enjoy them, and I love seeing what other people get. This video is in no way meant to diminish anyone's enthusiasm or excitement for purchasing games. If you're new to the channel, I love games, but I also know that I can love them in an unhealthy way. Like most of my relationships, I love in a very unhealthy way. And so while I can kind of justify that idea of a haul and that excitement happening for people who review games and are literally getting product to sustain their work for the next like 3 to 4 months, I also see countless images of what I assume are people trying to keep up. And so maybe this is wrong. Maybe this is wrong. This is why it's a Table Talk Back episode. This is why it's a Table Talk episode, because I'm really interested to hear all of your thoughts. But I think these sorts of hauls, from a consumer perspective, are things that we are pushed into wanting, but are also things that don't necessarily sustain us or our love for the hobby. I think they speak more to that collector aspect of things and not to the actual board gaming of things. That's the thesis. My question is, where is the diminishing returns? For me, whenever I purchase a board game, I want my excitement to be at the maximum, right? I've spent my hard-earned money. I don't necessarily have a lot of it. And so each purchase is a luxury purchase and is generally considered, or at least I try to make it considered. Sometimes I slip. And even for me personally, when I take on things to review, I really like to have that mentality and thought, because I never like to be the person who receives product and doesn't do anything with that product. I have a couple of those still weighing on my mind that I am desperately trying to get out of my brain, and I don't ever want to have that experience again. And so when I see pictures like this, or like this, even like this, I think, how did this happen? Was this intentional? Did people have a set budget of 78 board games being sold on average for $30 a game? And that's very reasonable. I'm assuming that there are a bunch of really light filler games that you can pick for 15 to 20. Even still, on average, $40, right? That's conservatively, that's $3,200 in a weekend on board games. And could just be because I'm poor and that money is astronomical to me to be able to spend in a weekend. But I really want to use this as an example, not to shame anyone who's doing this. Again, if you're excited about it, that's fantastic. But to have a larger conversation as to why. How did this happen? And are you really excited about it? And where is the threshold when that excitement stops existing? So I suppose let's address the why first. Why do we see all of these hauls that are popping up around there? From a reviewer perspective, the Dice Tower had a hour and 10-minute Essen unboxing haul where they had 70 something, and all of the games looked uninteresting to me. They were all little games that they could pack back in their suitcase and send back. And there were a couple that seemed interesting, but like for the most part, all of them seemed not that interesting and just felt like they were being taken to be taken, or maybe thrust upon the Dice Tower as everybody is clamoring for their own piece of the proverbial pie on one of the larger board game channels out there. So the why from that perspective, why we see these videos and these posts makes sense, right? From a content perspective, I love doing it. It's a great content idea, and you get to talk about little snippets of a game, and you get to see what's potentially on the docket, and you get to see little glimpses of excitement of the haul. But even in my personal experience, I know some things were like up here and other things were, you know, almost out of frame because I haven't gotten to them. I only had one real haul video, and that was from Origins 2022, and there are still 2 titles that I will review. I will review. But I also think that there can't possibly be the level of enthusiasm required to justify every single one of those purchases. I can't fathom that being the case, and so I'm really interested if there are people out there who feel that it is true. And so the how did it happen is also something to be interested in. And the how almost seems to make a little bit more sense to me. There are so many games that get released. There were so many games that get released at Essen. When I was searching through the annals of Essen hauls, I came across posts of people being like, oh, you know, I was really excited about Essen, but there's only like 350 titles being released this year, and usually it's like quadruple that, so I don't even know if I'm going to go anymore for this piddly 350. So if you put that into perspective, you put into perspective how many games are actually released at Essen, or that you are able to purchase at Essen, 78, I don't even know if it's 78, but it's something like that, 75, let's say, it seems like a drop in the bucket. And it is a fact that games keep getting better and better and better, and there's more innovation coming out, there's more people who get excited about games, and there are more companies who are producing games, and there's just, the hobby in general is growing. I love that because it gives us choice, but it also means that there are lots of shiny things out there to consider. And so I can see the mentality of, oh, that looks good. Oh yeah, that looks good. Ah, that looks pretty good. Well, this one looks good too. And if money is of no object to people, then that makes sense. You're just going to load it all up and you'll bring it all back to your place, and then you will have a year's worth of gaming in you, because presumably you have a collection. But I know that like there are people who are avid board gamers who that is the number of their collection. Having about 100 board games or 50 board games is normal. It's a normal thing. People like to flex and show that they have 600 games or 800 games. But we've had a conversation about this, about the optimal collection size. And while it's true there is no right answer, the answer should be, how many are you going to play? How many are you going to enjoy and actually use if you want to get them as physical use and not just as part of the collector aspect conversation? So I understand the how. I really do understand the how it happens. Even though it also seems so strange to me to not just get these at your local store if you have to put like so many in a suitcase to come home. Suitcases aren't cheap. Plus, getting things at a convention, you're generally going to be paying like the max that they cost. At least in my experience, you're not going to see a 50% off discount bargain sale unless it's on the last day and they really don't want to take their stock back. But for the most part, they don't want to undercut themselves. They don't want to undercut other retailers. And so we'll be selling things at MSRP, and you're just giving the company more of your money, right? They don't have to go through the wholesaler. And so they actually get to keep more of the profits by selling it on the convention floor. So that might be a reason why to spend so much at a convention, because you really love the game publishers. And I suppose the question that it leads into is not is this idea of hauls and excess. Not is it good for the hobby, because yeah, of course it's going to be good for the hobby. It's great for the hobby if every single person who attends Essen buys out all the stock of all the games. It's fantastic for the hobby. The businesses are making money. They will return. They are having their games put out into the world. Obviously, it's great for the hobby, but I don't know if it's great for the consumer. Both the consumers that do it and the consumers that don't. Because I also see why it might be beneficial for somebody. I can also see why somebody might be very excited. They might do all their purchases for the entire year. You get it out of your system. You have a whole library of things to choose from. I can understand that mentality. You always have something that you can pick. No. I play really quickly. I play through games really, really quickly. I play a game once, then I throw it on the ground and I never play it again. That's how quick I go. And I just go out and I get the newest thing. And there's an idea too that you can easily resell these if they're the hotness, if you manage to play them quickly, get a sense of if it even has the potential of staying in your connection or not. I also understand that mentality. So there could be, maybe there are a lot of positives to purchasing a lot at conventions, but for me, it feels more like we are encouraged to do this at every turn. The idea of excess, the sweepstakes videos that you get, the huge amount of boxes and unboxings, and getting to exist in this space where you just want to exist more and more and more and spend and spend and spend, sometimes beyond your means. I don't think it's a beneficial thing. I don't see how somebody can enjoy the hobby in that way personally, because I feel like there would be too much pressure on my end, too much pressure to get all these games to the table, too much pressure to focus only on these newer titles and not return to the ones that I have. Too much pressure. I think my board game collection is sitting around 180, I think, and I know that's too many. It's too many. I don't play one game every 2 days. I won't get through that in a year, and I love purging. I love getting rid of stuff from my collection. That is even growing because I love Kickstarter, and I'm getting more things to review, and I do not have the space for this. So if I were to come home with 78 games, there's no possible way that it would fit in my house. But I understand that I'm operating on a different level than a few people because I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment, and some of you with your big board game tables have houses. I get it. You're better than me. I understand. But I just don't see how that bulk purchasing is ever going to be beneficial. The largest bulk purchase that I've ever made was 20 games. 20 games at a time. I got it for like $200. Abomination Era of Frankenstein was in there. Fire and Axe was in there, which I still have never played, although it hasn't been cut yet. Oh, Dead Man's Cabal was in there. There were enough titles in there that I had known of and had heard of. Dead Man's Cabal, not a good game, by the way. It was so disappointing. But there were so many titles in there that I'd heard of and enough that I hadn't heard of that I was interested and excited. The price was right. It was like $200 or something. Couldn't pass it up. And so I got this big bundle, and this huge stack of games arrived at my house. And now I purge in bundles because of how much enjoyment I got from that idea of bundling it together, that idea of value, that idea of something, a huge swath of games coming into my house, how that would feel. And you know what I did? I didn't play them. I played the games that I liked. I got to them slowly, but my own personal pace of how quickly I got these games to the table did not measure up to a 20-game bundle. And a 20-game bundle is minuscule in comparison to these giant, like, Essen halls that I've been seeing going around. And I also wonder, how complicit are we in perpetuating this buying cycle? And so to finish this off, because I have questions, I don't know if I have answers, but I have questions. My main question is why? How dare you? And also why? But my main question is this sort of thing a good thing or not? Is this the way things should be purchased? Is it an exciting thing to you? Is it not an exciting thing to you? Is it an exciting thing to you for you to watch, but you would never want to experience it yourself? That's also very true. I love seeing these pictures. I get excited for those people, and I never want it to happen to me personally. And how detrimental do you think this is to the hobby? And how complicit are haul videos on YouTube in perpetuating this idea, right? People like to show off. People like to show off their expensive things. People have this unnamed an untalked of feeling of competition in everything they do on social media, really. In some sense, it's like, hey, I want to share this cool thing. But in another sense, it's like, hey, look at all the cool things I have. Come on, look how cool I am, baby. Woo! I got so many games! I got all the games! Shower me with games! Shower me with games! I'd much prefer a game shower than some other types of showers. Although if you're at a convention, don't forget the real type of shower. So yeah, how much does this actually serve the consumer and serve our buying habits, and how much of it actually serves the convention and the board game companies instead? Because while I love board game companies, I do. They produce the things that I love, so of course, how can I not love them? I love the consumers, us regular folk, more. And so that's a question I wanted to leave off of. Thank you for being here. You're all awesome. Hit the like button if you haven't already. And make sure to drop your comments down below. If this discussion spurred any thoughts, what is the excess point? What is the point where it stops being helpful and starts to be more of an addiction? Because I get that as well. I know I have an addictive personality. That is why I have to be more vigilant than most. And so that's why I always get a little bit protective, I think, when I see these hauls, is to make sure that we're buying in ways that always provide us with the utmost enjoyment. And if it brings you the utmost enjoyment, and 77 games would not, but 78 games is that magic number where you finally feel fulfilled, well, you may want to check your priorities, for one. And two, I'm happy for you, and as long as it's within your means, whatever, you know? But still, I think this is an interesting conversation to have, and I hope that you all will take part in it. Anyway, thanks for watching. My name is Chris George. Oh no, I don't have a catchphrase, but if you've noticed, I'm filming this off my computer's camera, which is it's actually a good camera because it's a new computer. And because of that, I can really represent my inner feeling when I see all the games that people have that I don't have. And it's just horrible. It's horrible. I want the delicious things. Do it again, FaceTime camera. Do it again. I'm stuck in this rainstorm. Do it again. Oh, horrible. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next. Oh, that's gonna be balloons. That's gonna be balloons. Yeah, kind of fun.